Well, Jets fans, it's clear now who Joe Douglas was on the phone with earlier this week during training camp practices. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rich Sports Talk. And we've been talking about basically since the green and white game. The hints were out there, the breadcrumbs were out there, and when Mekhi Becton went down, pretty much every Jet fan that I knew was clamoring for this deal to get done. It is official, according to Adam Schefter, that Duane Brown, the five-time Pro Bowl left tackle, is joining Gang Green. He is joining the New York Jets. There is a lot to break down about this. Where will Duane Brown play? How does this impact Fant? So much to get into. But again, have to start off by saying great job by Joe Douglas. I was saying this on the last live stream that we did. And again, guys, if you're joining us after the live stream, make sure you put your comments and your reaction to this signing below so we can get to them in a future video. And if you're joining us during the live stream, the live chat is open, and you can also follow us on social media using the handle at Rich Sports Talk. And even before Mekhi Becton went down with the season-ending knee injury, Duane Brown was flirting with the Jets. We saw it the green and white game. And my reaction after the green and white game, if you remember, was, look, the biggest storyline from the green and white practice wasn't the practice. It was what was going on the sideline. It was Duane Brown standing shoulder to shoulder with Joe Douglas. And now the Jets bring in a veteran left tackle, someone that is 71.5 PFF grade last year, a Pro Bowl tackle. And look, is he the same player that he was when he first came to Seattle? Is this the Duane Brown that has been a perennial All-Pro? No. But is this still a serviceable tackle? And by my estimations, the best tackle on the free agent market? Yes. And it does show a lot of great things about this Jet team, and that the culture and the perception around this team is changing. Because you look for Duane Brown, he had other options outside the Jets, even contending teams that want his services. And look, the Jets are a long shot to make the playoffs. Duane Brown has made a lot of money in his career, so money really wasn't the thing right now for him. You were wondering, was he holding out looking for a playoff contender? Was he holding out hoping to get on a team that had even Super Bowl aspirations? But he is joining the Jets, and I do think one of the things you have to say is that Duane Brown wanted to come and play for the Jets. And what's really encouraging about that is Robert Saleh might not have sold a lot of Jet fans, maybe as the X's and O coaches, but it is clear that there is one thing about Saleh. You could question maybe his X and O's, maybe his game plan, but in terms of building a culture and getting players to want to come to the Jets, I do think has to be stated, because it is clear that there are players that want to play for this guy. Unlike Adam Gase, where it seemed like every other player on the team wanted to get out of the Jets building. But overall, the Jets with an unbelievable signing. And this will be interesting because Rich, to me, reporting this a couple of minutes ago, his position with the Jets is to be determined. You look at Duane Brown, this is someone that has played his entire career, 203 starts at left tackle. So what does that mean for the current offensive line? And how does this impact the Jets down the road? Well, let's be honest. Duane Brown is a stopgap, and we will get to the comments in a bit below, that this is basically a fill and replace for this year. And I will also go on the record to say this, and I said this in the last live stream. Oh, thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. I said, look, just because the Jets get Duane Brown doesn't necessarily mean I would be done with their offseason for looking for a tackle. Because, look, I really like Max Mitchell. He's looked really good at camp. I'm really excited to see what he can do in the preseason. But if he's the next man up for this tackle rotation, I still would be worried. I've been saying I'd like to see them maybe get like a Brandon Shell, maybe trade Denzel Mims for like a Tevin Jenkins or a developmental tackle, maybe an Andre Dillard with the Eagles as your fourth option, because history is going to show that Fant, I love Fant. I think he's an unbelievable tackle, but he's missed 2 games in each of the last 2 seasons. You have a 37-year-old left tackle. There's a chance they're going to probably get nicked up and have to miss a game or 2. So if you're the Jets, I still would be really hammering that market, hammering the trade market, and still looking to upgrade the tackle position. So what does Duane Brown bring to the Jets other than a 71.5 PFF grade? Look, I think that this is a really good tackle. Now, I don't think it's going to be the same Pro Bowl tackle. Even last year when you made the Pro Bowl, I was, to be honest with you, a little surprised because you have been seeing the downturn in Duane Brown's career. But this is someone that one thing you love about him is his durability. He's played the last 4 years, the entire season. This is basically someone that you can line up and you know you're going to get, if not the full season, 16 games out of. He's been incredibly durable throughout his career. And look, that's what the Jets need. They need offensive linemen that are not only going to produce, but more importantly, stay healthy. So now the big elephant in the room, because what happens with George Fant? Because Fant coming into this camp was going to be the left tackle. He has said he's more comfortable at the left tackle position. And last year, I made the case that I thought he should have been a Pro Bowl alternate. I thought that's how good he played at left tackle. And the Jets announced he was going to be the left tackle. I think one of the reasons you're seeing the negotiations slow down a little bit is he wants to get paid as a left tackle. And even though he's been an okay right tackle, it's clear he's more comfortable playing the left side. So now the question becomes what the Jets are going to do at the tackle position. Is Brown comfortable moving to the right tackle position? And does that create a little bit of an issue for Brown? Because it's one thing to play in the NFL, but it's a completely different thing later in your career to change positions. And especially on a team where you already have the right guard position being converted. I think Brown's going to be the left tackle, but I don't know. I do think one of the major conversations had to be with Brown potentially moving to right tackle, but more importantly, it had to be with George Fant and understanding if Fant was comfortable. Now, one of the nice advantages between the two is both of them have played together in Seattle. Both were on that offensive line. So maybe Fant's okay with it. They were teammates. I'm really interested to see in the press conferences how they address this, what Fant has to say, and when they officially announce who's going to be the left tackle. But either way, you look at that, they have two starting caliber tackles. And in some regards, Becton probably has more upside in his career at this point. But if you were to ask me in terms of stability, you feel like with this new signing, the Jets have more stability at the position. And look, they might not have a guy that might have A+ potential or might be an A offensive tackle, but you feel like they have a solid BB+. Like they're not going to get killed at the tackle. It's not going to be a liability. Nick Chapp, I don't want to blow my own horn, but I did say this needs to happen, and thank God it happened. Big Dad agreed. We need more OT depth. McDermott and Duga are horrible. Agreed. You can't have too many options on either line. Like, look, I would be aggressive. I'd still look at the free agent market. I still would be on that trade market. I'd still be looking for players to be cut. And the question is, too, I know they brought in the tackle guard the other day. I'm really curious to see. So far in camp, they haven't lined him up. I'm trying to wonder if he's even practiced yet, but I'm curious to see if they'll use him as a right tackle. He played more guard in Tampa Bay. I think he's just more there for a depth piece, but I am curious, do the Jets view him now as the fourth tackle and Mitchell kind of as the fifth developmental tackle? So we'll have to see, and especially in the preseason, one of the things that's really going to be interesting in the Friday game, I'm going to be interested to see is who lines up where and what's the rotation for the offensive line and who's higher on the pecking order in the depth chart. But again, guys, fun little poll on the community page. So make sure you check that out on the channel. I have a poll up for you guys now, and it's pretty close, to be honest with you, about when you want the reaction after the preseason game on Friday. Do you want immediately following the game? Again, I understand it's a little bit late, so I'm not sure if everyone wants that. Saturday and Sunday, I know it's the weekend. And, of course, Monday at 10 a.m. Right now, it's 29% dead tie between Monday and Saturday, 43% right after. And, hey, if you guys are up and you guys want to rock and roll, let me know in the chat. I'm dying to hear what you guys have to say in your reactions after the game. And the deal is official, according to Adam Schefter. More importantly, this is interesting for the Jets. Duane Brown, $22 million, a 2-year contract. That just from Adam Schefter reporting. So we have the terms of the deal. That's pretty interesting. Now, I'm curious to see the official numbers on this contract, because is this a is there a guarantee going into year 2? Because it could be a dummy year 2. It could be pretty much fully guaranteed this season, and basically the Jets can cut after the season and get rid of. But that is pretty interesting in terms of the numbers for the compensation. 2-year contract. I was thinking this was going to be a 1-year deal, but it is officially a 2-year contract. This just from Adam Schefter. I just retweeted it on my Twitter page. If you want to go check that out, at Rich Sports Talk. 2 years, $22 million, so probably an average of 11. I was speculating between 9 and 10. But if this really is a 2-year deal, and when I mean a 2-year deal, that there's a bit of guaranteed money into next year, it does tell me a couple of things. Number one, I'm curious how this team views Fant. I think that they love Fant, but do they love him at the number that he wants? And then the second thing is, do they think he can play at a high level, Duane Brown, until he is 39 years old? I mean, he'll be 38 next year. And I'm kind of curious to see, too, if they are moving him to right tackle potentially. Maybe they feel there'll be a little bit less wear and tear on him. But again, guys, this just from Adam Schefter. I just retweeted it on the channel at Rich Sports Talk on my Twitter handle, that the deal is official. 2 years, $22 million, APR 11 a year. I'm curious to see what the full details are, because I can't take a contract at face value, because I do want to see what the guarantees are, because it could be fully guaranteed this year and none of it's guaranteed next year. So if that's the case, it's basically a 1-year contract. But it does also show me one thing, and I did mention this on last episode. And look, I love Mekhi Becton. I think he's an unbelievable kid, and I'm hoping him a speedy recovery and hoping him all the best and that he's able to resume his football career. But Robert Saleh said something very tellingly, which he basically said that his story's not over. He didn't say his Jets story is not over. And I just have this feeling that Mekhi Becton's career at the Jets is over, that he needs a fresh start. It's not going to work out here with the Jets. And maybe this is just me reading into this a little bit, but you gave Duane Brown a 2-year contract. And if there's guarantees for next year that you want him on a 2-year deal, is that basically telling you that you're planning on going with Fant, or maybe having Fant compete with Max Mitchell? Would you say that Mitchell, a question from Nick Chaplin, would have started if Brown wasn't signed? I know he's a 4th round, but it's better than the other options. See, Nick, he's been getting a lot of praise in camp, and I've seen what I've liked out of him in camp. I think it would have been a stretch. Now, I wouldn't have hated Mitchell starting, but from all indications, he's further along in the progression than they thought he would be at this point. But I just had a feeling that they were going to get tackled, whether it was Brown or someone else, that they just couldn't go into the season without veteran presence. And look, I've been on this channel too saying, could they move AVT out to tackle? I didn't hate that option, moving him to tackle, playing Nate Herbig or someone else at the right guard position. I didn't think that was a bad option either. But Mitchell, I think this is what they want to do, is kind of have him develop behind these 2 veterans in Fant, and now be able to continue development. I'm just keeping refreshing Twitter to see if any other information is coming out about the contract. Of course, like I said, I retweeted from Adam Schefter, $22 million deal for 2 seasons. Unbelievable signing for the Jets. And look, it was clear that Joe Douglas on the phone a lot this week, and we now know why. We now know that basically he was basically talking to the agency trying to get this deal done. And look, Duane Brown's a great scheme fit. He has started every game in the last 2 seasons, incredibly durable. You look as an injury replacement Pro Bowler last year. He wasn't a full Pro Bowler. He was an injury replacement. So 37 on August 30th. You look too, though, the one questions I am curious to see if Fant moves to right tackle. Now, the one thing you are slightly concerned, which is a little bit more surprising, that is a 2-year deal, is that Brown had some knee issues last year in Seattle. They actually significantly cut his practice reps. And again, that's not really huge surprise when you have such an older player, and we've seen like Whitworth for the Rams go through this. They haven't spin max days. They haven't made that announcement official. I'm curious to see where he plays. And look, it is a 2-year million, a 2-year deal. I'm curious to see if it's really one of those dummy 2-year deals where it's technically a 1-year deal. But I think this is an unbelievable signing. Look, the thing here is, and I don't want to rain on this parade, but the one thing you are always concerned about with veteran NFL players is, do they have one more good year left in them? Because you always want to move on from them a year early rather than a year late. The question becomes, is this the year where his play starts to really tailor off? Is this the year where the age could potentially catch up? And look, we've seen tackles like we saw with Whitworth in the Rams. You can be an older tackle and still be effectively. The key is also going to be how the Jets handle Brown, because this is someone I don't think you're going to have. You can't run through all these reps of practice. You're going to really have to almost be on a pitch count with the amount of reps he gets at practice, making sure he's well rested. So I'm really curious to see how they handle him in practice. I think this might be a little bit of an improvement over Becton. And look, James, you can't really argue, and this is the sad fact. It's an improvement because there's going to be someone on the field. The biggest concern with Becton isn't the talent, it's the durability. And I always say durability is such an important aspect of a player in the NFL. And this is the thing I kept saying about Becton is, look, everyone kept saying Becton's so talented, Becton's so great. I'm like, yeah, when he's out there. The problem is he's never out there. So I think that this is a good signing. And look, if I had to guess, like project, if you get around a 70 PFF grade, you're getting a good year from Brown. That's basically what Moses gave you last year at right tackle. I'm really curious to see what happens, though, because Fant clearly prefers playing on the left side. He was a lot better left tackle than a right tackle. Are you willing to move him back to the right tackle position where he hasn't been as good? Or do you decide that you're moving Brown to the right tackle position and you're hoping that'll be a little bit less wear and tear on him, but then you take the risk of him playing a position he's never played before in the NFL? And I know from Madden, you can just switch positions and nothing changes, but in real life, there's a big difference going from the left to the right side, especially in pass blocking, especially with footwork. So I'm really curious to see how that would be. Spin Max Dave, Carl Lawson will let us know if Duane Brown is any good. I would just say this, though. I feel like Duane Brown is just an upgrade at the position. And you get another key veteran where you have a young offensive lineman like Max Mitchell, someone that they can learn from, someone that they can gauge from, someone that they can basically see how they practice, how they prepare, their technique, how they're able to basically adjust. And like I said to start the show, this is a great sign for the Jets because the Jets weren't the only team interested in Brown. There were plenty of other teams, and I kept saying I'm a little skeptical if he signs with the Jets because this is someone that's also made a lot of money in his career. He doesn't have to worry about money. This is someone that is at the end of his career. Does he want one more shot, maybe a championship, or one more shot at really a playoff team? Because look, if everything goes perfectly for the Jets, we're hoping they're in playoff contention. There's a lot of teams out there that could have put him on the team, maybe even use him as a backup, but then there would have been basically what I would say is an opportunity to go out and maybe win a Super Bowl or get into the playoffs. So overall, I think this is really important. The key is going to be the first-year compensation on this deal. So I would also say keep this in mind. This information has not come out yet, but even though it's a 2-year contract, we've seen this a lot. I call it the Joe Douglas special, where he front loads a contract and leaves the last year as a dummy year. Like, even if they put $1 to $2 million, that's a hit, but it's not the worst hit in the world on the contract. So for me, it also gives the Jets a little bit of comfort. If, let's say, for example, Fant decides not to sign an extension and decides to go elsewhere, that they have an option next year. And it's really key. I'm desperate to see where they play him. I'll give you my reaction when that position is announced. But I just want to break this news to you guys and also get your gauge on what you want me to do after the post game, when you want me to talk about the Jets, because I love you guys. I just want to check. So I just think it's an unbelievable signing for this team. This to me was the best option out there, because this to me was the least amount of compensation, because all you are doing is basically giving up money. You are not going out there and basically trading key assets to get a player. Now, I still have been saying they should not be done. I still be looking for a third tackle, because if one of these guys goes down, probably Max Mitchell's your next guy up. And I do like the kid a lot, but this is a key year. I'd look to get Brandon Shell. I'd still be out on the market seeing there's any other tackles, or now it opens you up to the secondary market. I've been saying Andre Dillard from the Eagles is someone I wonder if Joe Douglas is interested in. Tevin Jenkins, maybe. Some younger guy that, look, hasn't really worked out where they are. You don't need them to start right away, but if you get them in the building, you get them in their program, maybe they're a developmental player to be a future starter on your team. That could be an option that you should explore right now. So don't think that the Jets are done with the tackle position. I don't think they are. I still think they're going to be aggressive and see what they do. I mean, look, let's be honest. I think they're going to draft the tackle according to Spin Max Dave. I agree. If field management didn't make this move, Zach got hurt, the New York media would have killed them. Absolutely, James. You can't agree with that. And this is the other thing, too, with this team, is that they are going for it. And they are going for it to turn it around and put all these pieces around. And even after Becton, like, yes, the signing took a little bit, but you heard that this team was in the market. And look, they didn't hide that they were interested. They weren't hiding that they weren't trying to make this happen. But overall, they did an incredible job to get this done, get someone in the building, get someone that is a talented player. And look, is there risk here? Yes, he's 37. Is it a risk because you might have to move Fant back to right tackle? Potentially. But of all the options out there, this was probably the best one. And you look at, what you were looking for was last year's Morgan Moses. Morgan Moses had a 70 PFF grade last year. Duane Brown had a 71.5. The other interesting thing, too, is Brown struggled a bit more in pass protection last year. Maybe he's open to the move to right tackle to help prolong his career. We'll have to see how that hands out. But you look at the Jets, they didn't have to give up significant trade capital to go and get a tackle. And you look at the other tackle options, a lot of them were low-end starters, had huge injury red flags, or were someone that you were hoping, like, to me, Brandon Shell's someone I'd still look at. I think he'd be a nice serviceable backup. But at this point, I'd say even if he was the Jets tackle, it still would be like, I'm not too sure about that. But overall, I do think that this was an unbelievable move. The Jets were aggressive. And this is one thing I do like about this regime is they're being aggressive and they're being smart. Like, we've seen the Jets go around and spend like drunk sailors under McCagnon. And yeah, it helped for a short season, but it killed the Jets for years afterwards. Like, this to me is a smart move. It's a shrewd move. And like I was saying when I did the live stream reaction to Becton, I said, look, Joe Douglas has to get this done in 24 hours. He was a little longer than 24, but he still got it done. Because the biggest reason I said you have to get this done now is for two huge reasons. The first reason, I think this was the most important reason, is the longer you wait, the more teams could be interested in Brown, because we haven't played a preseason game yet. And we've already seen teams like Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay lost their backup center, was carted off yesterday. So you're looking at teams losing players in training camp, and we haven't even played a preseason game. So what would to say if one of the Super Bowl contenders or a great playoff team lost a left tackle or lost a tackle in the first preseason or second game? That all of a sudden increases the demand for Duane Brown. So you get that out of the way. You get him in the building before the demand goes up. But the other thing, and most importantly, too, is you give him time to develop chemistry with this line, which is so important, so underrated in practice. Now, if he's also moving to the right tackle position, it gives him more time to learn the position. It gives him more time to get more reps at the position. And if I had to guess, I don't think we will see Duane Brown play a single preseason game, because I do think he's going to be on a pitch count. He's 37. They're going to try to keep him healthy. They're going to try to keep him fresh. It's a long season, but they will try to get him as many practice reps as possible. So you look right now, like this is the great thing about the Jets offensive line right now is, are there tackles liabilities? No. Are there tackles potentially great? I don't necessarily think that right now. But you look at the potential guard center guard combo they have. I mean, you might have 2 Pro Bowl guards in there, and look, you have a very good center in Connor McGovern. So this to me is still an upgrade over last year when you look at the offensive line, because Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be in year 2. I think he's just going to continue to get better. You bring in a Pro Bowl caliber guard, Lincoln Tomlinson. And look, it's a push at the tackle position. You move Morgan Moses, you bring in Duane Brown. Brown, of course, a little bit older, but I don't think there's much of a difference between those 2 players. And last year, the Jets had an 11th ranked PFF offensive line grade. It probably would have been better if they didn't have to play Greg Van Roten in 8 games last year. So I do think the Jets, their strength is still their offensive line. And the Jets, to me, if they can stay healthy, have the potential to easily be a top 10 offensive line in this league. Now, top 5, I think, is going to be a stretch, because I do think the tackles will limit the upside of this offensive line unit. But I just have a feeling this team's going to run the football behind this offensive line, establish the control, establish the run game. And you look right now, like, the Jets don't have a huge weakness on the offensive line. Last year, they had a huge weakness at right guard. Coming in, it looked like tackle was going to be an issue. So now all of a sudden you go out there and look, the Jets had to make this move. They had to, because they need to find an answer on Zach Wilson. They need to get the answer. Is Zach Wilson our guy? And is it really fair to throw Max Mitchell, a rookie, out there and potentially get overwhelmed, have him get killed, have him lose his confidence? I mean, it's hard enough as a rookie. We saw Andrew Thomas with the Giants when he struggled his rookie year. Everyone was crucifying him. And look, he's got a lot more talent than Max Mitchell. Max Mitchell, if he's out there by himself getting burnt every other play, getting roasted by pass rusher, it wouldn't help. So I just feel like Mitchell's got great upside. I'm excited to see how the Jets develop him. But you need to get an evaluation on Zach Wilson. And this is why I was screaming why they had to get this done, is this year's all about developing Zach Wilson. It's getting an answer, good or bad. Either way, you need to find out the answer. Is he the guy or is he not the guy? And you need to eliminate all the variables. And look, the Jets have eliminated the tight end position variable. They've eliminated the receiver variable. They've eliminated the running back variable. I think they've eliminated the offensive play calling variable. The one question that remained when Mekhi Becton went down, even when Mekhi Becton was here, was what's going to happen with the right tackle position, because Becton never played right tackle. Becton had played 1 game in a year. You were hoping he'd be great at right tackle, but you couldn't tell me with a straight face you knew what was going to happen at the tackle position. But again, really excited. Joe Douglas, once again, coming in, making a big signing, getting this deal done, and more importantly, getting this done before another team had the potential to get in here and scoop him up. Because like I was saying, the longer you could have waited, the longer you just left Duane Brown out there, you could have basically allowed another team to get in there, or another team to get more desperate to get out there in time. So I have to give the Jets an unbelievable amount of credit. You look at the way they've changed the culture, that players actually want to come play here. That's exciting, because that was a huge problem, was getting players to come and play here for the Jets. And you look now, like Duane Brown said, he wanted to come and play here for Robert Saleh. So I just have a feeling that this is a very good signing for the Jets. This was a needed signing. They needed to get this done. They need to get him in camp. And like I said, too, the other reason you want to get him in camp is to get repetition, get chemistry with this offensive line, learn to play next to whoever he's playing. If he has to move to right tackle, you get him comfortable at the right tackle position. It's developing that. It's getting him comfort. It's getting this offensive line cohesion together, because you don't want to wait till the 2nd or 3rd week in camp or the second or third preseason game, that limits the amount of time and reps he can get in practice. Now you can bring him in. You don't have to kill him early. You can ease him into this position and see how he does. Jacob Klein Mitchell starting with led to Kring Zach's tombstone. Julian Million. I don't want to see Becton in a Jets uniform again. I think that's a little harsh, Julian, but I don't think you're going to see that again. Once again, I was saying earlier in the show, Robert South said Becton's story isn't over. He didn't say his Jets story, so I think it is pretty much done with the Jets. Fifth-year option is over, of course. Jets need to extend Fant. I agree. I'm curious to see how they do, and I do think Fant wants to get paid as a left tackle, and he's still going to hold out for left tackle money. I think 100% we move Fant back to the right side. He's proven as an average at least there with Rowan on his side. Should be able to improve with AVT. Be sure there would be too much of an unknown there. It's going to be curious. Like, I'm really fascinated to see what they do here. And the one thing is, you do have a feeling that they did have to talk with Fant about this, because they had to come in and either let him know that he was coming in, or they probably had to approach the subject like, hey, we're bringing him in, but we might need him to play left tackle. So that, I have a feeling, was discussed. And look, I believe what the way they pitched it to Fant was, look, we're still going to give you an extension, but we're going to have to move to right tackle. And for me, I think what they are going to argue is like, look, this is what's best for the team right now. This is what's best for our organization. And this is what's best, gives us the best chance to win. Do you think they will end up swinging? Also, who's our backup center? Center right now, Jacob, I would say Feeney, because he can kind of kick in between the two. He was the backup center last year. So Feeney, yes, is a guard, but he plays center if there's an injury. I hope they're not done. I've been saying I think this opens it up to maybe signing another tackle, because McDermott's also going to be out for a week or two. But also, you can explore the trade market, maybe get someone that's undervalued on another roster. I've been saying like Andre Dillard, Tevin Jenkins are possibilities on other teams, young tackles that just haven't worked out at their two respective places. Maybe you give them a shot here. Maybe they fit in the system. I worry about Fant on the right. Actually, he has to switch again, and there are pay implications, left tackle, right tackle. Fant probably not happy. Maria, I just have a feeling that they're going to pay him still as a left tackle, because he was the left tackle on this team. I just have a feeling like if they get the extension done, it will be as a left tackle. But the one thing I will say, though, is if I had to guess today, they're probably moving Fant to the right tackle position. And you do wonder if he's more open to it, because, again, these guys played together in Seattle. You wonder how good of friends they are. I assume that they're got a pretty good relationship. But you do wonder if that, like, I don't think Fant would have moved to right tackle for anyone else. So Brown also has respect. Brown's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's played 203 games at the position. It might be a respect thing, but we will have to see how this all is done. Jacob Cooper agreed. Mitchell's a project. He needs a fill-in to his frame. He has the potential to be a starting tackle. He feels out right now. He's way too thin. I've liked him in camp so far, but I do agree that it's a bit of a stretch. So right now, if you had to do it today, if the guess is Brown at left tackle, Tomlinson left guard, McGovern center, Elijah Vera Tucker right guard, George Fant right tackle. But I still keep saying that, look, this is an upgrade over Riley Reef, who's someone the Jets were considering. This is someone else that I also keep saying, too, I wouldn't just stop with this. Like, I would like them to bring another tackle, have a good third tackle, and you can have Mitchell as your fourth. Like, to me, that is what would be ideal going into this season. Just because this signing is done, you have a 37-year-old left tackle and a right tackle that has missed 2 games in each of the last 2 seasons. You need to increase the depth, and you need to make sure the depth is there. I don't agree with that, Jacob. Look, Piers is 40 years old. I don't know where he's at in his career. We'll have to see. I just don't know if he also wants to be back at this point either. And the other nice thing that Fant, too, is you wonder, and BK brought this up, and also Rob brought this up in the chat, which was, will Fant be a better right tackle now he's got Elijah Vera Tucker next to him? Because don't forget, Fant, when he was playing, had weak right guards next to him. He did not have good guard play next to him. So you do wonder if, yes, he might not be as good of a tackle, but his play going to be better than it was previously because he'll have better talent around him and he'll have a better guard sitting next to him as well. I think they gave Brown a 2-year deal because they don't want another Morgan Moses situation. I mean, James, potentially, but don't forget, too, that it could be a dummy deal. We see this all the time. Like, yeah, it could be a 2-year deal, but it could be all fully guaranteed the first year and nothing's guaranteed the next year. So we'll have to see how that turns out. I'm still weighing on the particulars of that. So, on the 7th-year anniversary of Geno Smith getting punched in the jaw, at least this day will be a good memory more recently with Brown signing with the Jets. So really interesting how the universe works somehow, that basically on one of the worst days potentially in Jets history or more embarrassing days, they end up getting a very good player and they end up getting a good deal done. Praying that he's more Morgan Moses than Ryan Khalil. We will see. I think he will be, Jacob. I mean, he's just a consummate blow. And look, Khalil was retired. Like, they brought Khalil out of retirement. Whenever you have to bring a player out of retirement, I'm skeptical because the player has already checked out. And you wonder how engaged they are and how much they're really back into football. Because, like, once you start chipping away at the love of playing football, you can see, like, guys might not be going 100%. Might not be willing to give a little extra. So I don't think it's going to be that all. But again, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. More Jets content coming. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you missed us during the live stream, make sure you comment, and I will get to your questions in the next video. But again, huge news for the Jets. Duane Brown is signing Joe Douglas, does it again, and the Jets address a huge need and plug a huge hole. So a great day to be a Jets fan, a great addition by this organization, and I'm really excited and just jazzed up for this week as we get to the first preseason game. So much more to talk about, so you don't want to miss any of our Jets content throughout this preseason. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be back soon. Of course, our next video will likely be right after the Jets game, giving our thoughts on the first preseason game. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Nolan Rich, and this is Rick Sports Talk. Thank you so much for joining us here today.